Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, so it's all the same to me.
Okay, welcome back to Countdown to Destruction. This is episode 6 of our podcast chronicling the history of the TV show The Leftovers. My name is Matt Waters. I am viewing for the first time, very much not viewing for the first time, is Ben Phillips. Ben, how are you?
I'm so fucking excited.
Before we get to that, to date the podcast, we are living in the ninth circle of hell. It is hot as hell. I travelled all over Cambridge over the last 2 days attempting to track down such a thing as a fan and have come up wanting. There are none. Every shop we go to, they're like, nah, it's sold out, can't get them anywhere. One place, come back tomorrow, we're getting a delivery. Went there, all gone. Dying. Have no fan. Just living in sweat. Hopefully by the time this airs, the world isn't just literally on fire and it's cooled down.
I've seen that there's rain coming on Monday.
Good, my rain dance might work.
I feel like I've read that like 5 times in the last couple of weeks.
Apparently, at the end of the week, it's going to be like 37 or 38 degrees where you are, which, if you're listening in America, that's like 100 degrees in your currency. So, good luck, Ben.
I think my favourite part today is I saw a tweet, and this is going to tie into the podcast, that a sign in Austin, Texas, spontaneously combusted today.
Yeah, aren't you supposed to just not go outdoors between like 11 a.m. and like 6 p.m. in like Texas and Arizona in the summer? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I went to Austin in July about 4 years ago, and that was. I mean, I was in a convention center that was air conditioned for most of the time there, but oh boy, it's not.
Yeah,
it is not.
They go tubing, they get drunk, and just go down a river. It seems a good way to deal with it. So, moving back to the podcast. You lied to me, Ben. We had a trust, and you lied to me repeatedly.
I lied in text.
I don't know how many of them made it in. Yeah, I was going to say most of these might have been via text, but you mentioned, you agreed how bad the opening titles are, and then you said something about how they won an award later, and I was like, oh, did they change? And you were like, no. Like, well, what do I see the moment I turn on season 2? But new titles. They're very lovely. The song fits much better. The font seems a little bit like too quirky for what this show is, but hey, I like it better than season 1.
These credits are so good.
I enjoy the mashup with Infinity War as well. So.
that was the one that people went for. They didn't go for the season 1 credits.
No.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, so this is season 2. Lots of changes here. Damon Lindelof is no longer depressed. I'm sure. I feel depression doesn't go away forever, but he seems less depressed. And we have a lot of changes, which we're going to get into. But this first episode is Axis Mundi. There you go. Aired October 4th, 2015. Directed by Mimi Leder, who is now an executive producer. Go her. And written by Damon Lindelof and Jacqueline Hoyt, who brought us 2 boats and a helicopter and solace for tired feet. I declare this the best trio of creators for The Leftovers that I have thus far experienced. Yeah.
They're good. I mean,
we got better coming.
Well, there's one writer who Damon Lindelof does some episodes with, which are fucking nuts.
Okay. Speaking of nuts, let's just get to it. So we open in prehistory with a heavily pregnant cave woman who goes outside to pee, and then there's an earthquake which traps everyone in her tribe inside the cave, leaving her out in the wilderness to give birth. And she just wanders around with this baby by herself, alone. A snake crawls straight over her baby, so she tries to defend it, gets bitten, later dies, and a stranger picks up her child. Not the first scene I was expecting from this show, set in a small town in New York with just very specific sensibilities. Sense8 is still winning the award for most graphic sort of TV birth scene. Have you seen Sense8?
I've seen the first season. I need to watch the final season, or the second season of the finale.
The big montage where they're all being given birth to, and you just see heads coming out of fake vaginas, and it's just like, what the shit?
I don't think they were fake vaginas. I think that was real footage of people giving birth.
Do they just have to float around with people who are, like, in labour, and just be like, so whenever it comes... Right, film! Anyway, it's still pretty graphic for broadcast. Well, not broadcast, but, TV. Traditional TV.
Not TV, it's HBO, Matt.
Exactly, it's a different experience. So, yeah, this was all very, very strange. I believe...
So we're 2 for 2 now. Is you've had a different opening credit scene which immediately threw you for a loop, although you have seen names that you recognise in the credits.
Yes.
And then you cut to this.
Yep. I was like, what is this? At first I was like, oh, is this like a cadre of Wayne's like pregnant Asian women? And I was like, no, not Asian, and also not of this century or even millennium. I guess it's all a big metaphor with Nora and like a child and like creating your own family. I don't know.
Yeah, like they kind of, from this point onwards, they kind of, I mean, I say this point onwards, there's only one more season after this, but like the first scene of each season kind of becomes like a tone setter or theme setter. Like, it's not necessarily something we're ever going to go back to, but this story is something that kind of...
It's just like a little Noah Hawley-esque like cutaway that is just vaguely tied into what's happening but isn't like plot relevant. Ostensibly, when we move to modern day, I think this is supposed to be the same geographical area where that was taking place.
Yeah, they kind of pan across the kind of little
the same lake or
thing.
Whatever. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we move to the present day where some girls are swimming in a lake. One of them is Evie, who is played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. She is the daughter of the Murphy family, who are going to be the focus of this episode.
Very confusing for me last night, because my cat's name is Evie.
Okay.
So I think she was kind of very excited that there was...
We can refer to her as Evangeline, if you would like. Is it Evangeline?
It is Evangeline, but no, it was just like the cat doesn't normally pay attention when I watch TV, but last night she was very intent on coming to sit next to me and watch this show that was saying her name.
Has it just happened? Is it now?
She has looked at me right now.
So we see them swimming in the lake, she returns home to the family, we just get a nice, very quick, like, here's the family being a family, breakfast is happening, oh, Dad's sleeping in, let's pile books on him.
You also get the first kind of hint that something weird is going on, based on the fact that people seem to really like this water.
Yes. Oh, okay, right, Yeah, there's a Dr. Goodhart is sort of fucking about with the lake and testing the water or whatever, and Evie bottles some of it to take home. Yeah, the water will come up momentarily. So Michael, the son, Jovan Adepo,
star of a new J.J. Abrams movie coming out soon.
Wow, there you go. Lindelof, Abrams. It's 7 degrees of separation here. So he cycles to the visitor center of Miracle, Texas. Now, the town is called Jarden, and a national park has sort of sprung up around it because this is a town with no departures, and it is, as they tout in episode 2, the largest such sort of area where this has happened. So it's become a big national park where people visit from all over the world, and people try and buy the water from Michael.
They try and buy anything. Like, you get people coming off the bus and they're praying immediately, and
and it's like, will this keep us safe? And it's like, okay, because we do get this question asked. We've thus far assumed the departure was a one-off occurrence. It was potentially the rapture. It's done. It's happened. We quickly have questions about it potentially happening again, and if you tie that in with what happens at the end of this episode and this scene here, where it's like, will it keep us safe? Yes, the question is being asked. Will this happen again? And people are coming here because they believe that they'll be safe if they're there, they believe they can take things from it and they'll be safe, like if they drink the water or whatever the hell they're buying.
So interestingly, this was actually a season 1 idea that they had. This was going to be like a little episode running thing with Tom and Christine in season 1.
Okay.
That they were going to stop off in this small town in Texas where no one disappeared. But as they were writing,
literally anything would have been better than what happened with Tom and Christine in season 1. So
yeah, as they were writing the show, they realised, oh no, we're going to give Tom and Christine like 5 minutes each episode. So let's pocket this because this is interesting. Yeah, obviously it proved interesting enough because the entire season is set in this town.
Yes, it was. Spoilers, Ben. For about 20 minutes from now, maybe. These are just random observations that, like, there's no discussion to be had out of them because you'd have to spoil it for me to tell me, but just observations I made on this little scenelet. As Michael's cycling, he goes past a big crack in the road with a glass sheet over it that's labelled 7.
They mentioned that in the second episode.
Okay.
When they're at the visitor centre, they say that
I remember there are
interest,
numbers.
Points of interest have been kind of like partitioned off them, so that is the 7th.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clearly something like that. It's just, well, what makes this special? We'll find out. Or maybe we won't. And so there's a man at the top of a tower. that is at the entrance. I think he's credited as Tower Man as well.
He is.
He drops down a letter sends down a letter in a bucket for Michael that's addressed to a location in Australia. Just pocket that for an episode, I guess.
I will also say it's not just the location that's important, but the name of who it's addressed to is important as well.
Who was it addressed to?
It was addressed to a David Burton.
David Burton. So a local man named Isaac charges people to do a little handprint on a piece of paper with paint, and then he reads it. Like, he puts it on a light box like it's an X-ray, and I guess he's a palm reader, but just he does it in a weird way. John, the patriarch of this Murphy family, played by Kevin Carroll, he visits Isaac, who predicts for him when he does his thing, something bad is going to happen to him. And John is like, it's just you and me, just admit it, this is all bullshit. And Isaac's like, nope, this is for real, you should be careful. Before we know anything about John, other than like he's chasing a cricket somewhere in the house, he's immediately a very sinister character. And before the end of the episode, he is kind of set up as a potentially villainous character. But straight away, like, he's being a little bit dickish about, like, fire code and stuff like that, which foreshadows what his job is, because Isaac's planning to rent out the top floor of his house. I wonder who to. They stress that these two are old friends, or maybe not friends, but they've known each other a very long time, which is important for what's about to happen. But I don't know, just the way John is at all times, he just kind of has this sort of sinister smile, and it's a little bit unsettling. And there's a lot of, I mean, just to address the tone of the entire second season so far, from what I've observed, it's a lot more sort of uncomfortable tension and that kind of thing. It reminded me a little bit of Get Out in a way, where it's, I don't know, because you've got this weird town and there's clearly some mysteries happening, and this guy is very, like, constantly looking at you and smiling, but in a way that's not fun.
A big thing that this episode does is it just completely throws you in the deep end of not having any fucking clue what's going on. We've had new opening credits. We've had a flashback to way in the past, and now we're in a new location with new characters we've never met before, and we're, 20 minutes into the episode at this point?
Yeah.
And basically you're just being thrown so much information.
Yeah, watching this, I was texting you, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And, like, there's a lot of stuff that I've put under the category of miscellaneous for my notes, because trying to logically jump through it all is just a nightmare. So there's some extras. If I don't mention anything, hold fire, because I've probably got it in miscellaneous. But yeah, so John goes to work. He is a firefighter. He's talking with his co-workers, and he declares Isaac to be a 5, much to their sort of like, whoa, are you sure? Like, consternation. Because they head over to Isaac's house, kick the door down, and burn his house down. And he's like, you're going to have to kill me, I'm not going anywhere. So they throw him through a window. And Erica, who is the wife, Regina King, we'll see her next year in Watchmen for HBO. She stitches him.
Very good.
She seems it. I remember her from Enemy of the State as Will Smith's hot wife. Yeah, she's a nurse. She stitches Isaac up, and they have a little conversation. But so when John is saying that Isaac's a 5, he says the sentence, he's selling a lie and folks are buying it. He's a 5. And you get the sense that immediately, basically, John is not cool with any suggestions of the supernatural, or I don't know, it seems somewhat reminiscent of the GR. Well, not really, but I don't know, that kind of angle where he's very anti anyone who thinks this is a special thing that happened. He would not have liked Holy Wayne. For many reasons. No one should like Holy Wayne, but he would have had that one as well. So yeah, this fire department actually start fires. Although we're told it's the first time he's done it by Erica, so who knows? Yeah,
it's very much this kind of idea that he kind of sees himself as a protector of Jarden.
Yeah, he's very interrogatey later on, and he's suspicious of Matt when spoilers, Matt shows up. He's a very suspicious man, and yeah, I get the feeling he doesn't take kindly to anyone coming from outside, or like stuff like what Isaac does. It like draws attention to the town and invites even more people, and I guess he doesn't want people coming in or something.
I mean, you get the sense that this place is very protective and particular about who gets to come inside. You get a lot more of that in the second episode, but this is not an easy process for someone to just walk into this town.
And he's willing to burn a house down. So when Erica is patching Isaac up, in addition to revealing this is the first time he's done it, she's not very bothered by the fact that she's not like horrified John's done it. So spoilers for the likability rankings later, but that may play a part. And she also says, if Isaac was what he claims to be, then he would have seen this coming. So it's sort of an endorsement of John's beliefs, I guess. But Isaac, again, is adamant. I meant what I said. Like, he's...
I'm going to call bullshit here, because it feels like he's able to predict things that happen to particular people, because he guesses that John's got a birthday coming up.
Yep, he does.
Right? So the only way for him to find out that he'd get thrown through a glass window would be if he did the thing to himself.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm fairly sure you don't finish a day at work and then just go like, the thing that I've been doing for lots of other customers, I'm going to do it to myself.
Exactly. I mean, can you even read yourself? That seems... I don't know. Anyway, next day, John attends a church service where Michael is reading from Thessalonians. I have no idea if the passage he reads has any special significance beyond John taking some slight exception to it later.
John takes slight exception to a lot of things.
He does, doesn't he? So the reverend of this church introduces his friend, Matt, who begins to share a story about his time in the town, but he is cut short. And then when John presses him about it afterwards, he says he feels like a burden has been lifted since coming here. So
something involving Mary has happened.
Yes, I mean, I thought we were seconds away from a revelation that her condition is improving since she arrived in this town or something like that. That
would definitely get John riled up if someone was saying, miracle cure for my wife who's been catatonic for 4 years.
Indeed. So as part of Michael's... He closes his little part of the ceremony by saying, we are the 9,261. We were spared, and for that we are grateful. This is very much sort of rolled into their everyday life. And like, John's attendance at the church is sort of met by surprise by Erica and others. I get the sense this would rub him the wrong way generally, that like the church are outright saying like, hey, we were spared, we're special. So yeah, he does sit there the whole time with this sort of look on his face. Like, okay.
It's also very interesting to compare the spirituality and organised religious of Jarden compared to what was going on in Mapleton. Matt was struggling with the church and he was getting like 4 or 5 people there each week, whereas here, this is a full church.
Well, where is your God now versus you're all saved? I mean,
we shall thank the God.
Exactly, worship is easy whenever.
It's just interesting. It's interesting that like this is the church where the reverend has to go off and have surgery, so they need to get a replacement reverend in because obviously things would collapse if they didn't have one.
Giving us a reason why Matt is here. So yeah, but speaking of Matt, he arrives 37 minutes into this episode, which is a bold fucking decision on the part of David Lindelof. You could easily be forgiven for thinking, if you didn't see any trailers for this season, and I'm trying to avoid all that kind of stuff, or anything like that. You could think, oh, this is a one-off episode. It's just like, oh, what's happening on another side of the country? And this will maybe play a part later. It's like, nope, present day. Here's Matt. It's all happening right now.
Yeah, because you theorised at one point that this was the day of the departure.
Yes, when Michael was cycling to the centre, because it looked a bit different, I think, and like the flashback with the cave people obviously has that heavy grain on it, but I think even the footage in the present, it looks slightly different. I mean, logistical things with making TV shows, it happens, but
it's a bit sunnier in Austin compared to Mapleton.
There is that as well. It just looks visually different, and when you pointed out that the flashbacks have grain, I was like, oh, is this pre-departure? Is it all about to happen? And it's like, nope, no departures. Okay. So Matt is here, bringing us and establishing us firmly in the present day. It's not a flashback, it's not a separate special episode, which will be doubly confirmed in a moment.
And yeah, Janelle Maloney is now a
series regular. Amazing stuff.
She's had one episode in which she said anything.
Yep. I assume she will experience this miracle, because otherwise, why would you make her a regular? Yeah.
No, The Leftovers is proving to be pretty ballsy right now, and
John that evening drops a spoon down the sink, and he reaches in to get it, and it's one of those American sinks that has a trash disposal, trash compactor, whatever it is, with the, you flip a switch and it cuts your hand off. And as he's reaching in, like, the ominous music is playing, and he looks very visibly afraid. So I'm calling him, much like the GR, a hypocrite in that he's preaching all this stuff about, oh, this is all wrong, but he's kind of taking Isaac's warning to heart a little bit. Michael,
I don't know, I'd be terrified to put my hand down a thing that's got blade.
I mean, yeah, generally I would, but he seems double affected by it, because Michael, his son, walks along and just pulls that thing right out of there, no fear whatsoever. He then heads out and he takes some food to the man at the top of the tower, and then he heads over to some dude's house to pray. More on him next episode. Nothing really doing here, just all that seems worth pointing out for future. So, the next day, Many days happening in this episode. John finds a pie on his porch, and as he's bringing it in, he observes, fuck you audience, Kevin, Nora, Jill, and the Antichrist, Lily, move in next door.
With one L.
Yes, Lily with one L. Well, two L's, but I know what she meant. They move in next door. So not only is it the present, it's not a side story. This is what Matt's doing this season. This is where we all are. This is where season 2 is set. Fuck you.
Kevin has the greatest wave.
He does a little... So he invites... John invites them all over to his birthday party, where the whole family, really, but particularly John, they kind of grill. I want to call this the family, but I guess it's 3 different families mushed into one. Yeah, they grill them all. And John reveals he spent 6 years in prison for attempted murder, which is a heavy thing to drop at a party. The party ends when Evie has an epileptic seizure and drops the birthday cake. So, lots to do here. 1, they re-gift that pie. Assholes. Potentially poisoned, though. Maybe smart. Jill and Michael, when they meet, do the little we're gonna fuck glance. So that's fun stuff. Jill in a much happier place this season. Barely surviving a fire and having a baby and a nice woman as a new mother will do wonders for your personality, I guess. When John tells Erica he's inviting them over, Erica says, oh, you're not working on your birthday. And it's like, okay, so you consider your job of protecting the town, like that's your work, and the firefighting thing is just an aspect of it, I guess. And what he does is find things out about people and... Yeah,
like he's got them over to like grill them for whatever reason.
Exactly. He wants information. Like he is immediately taken... I mean, they're outsiders, so I guess he would be anyway, but they make a particular thing of Kevin and John. And it's, there's many reasons why you do that. Like, they're strong alphas, and like, Kevin was a policeman, spoilers, he's retired, or quit, or is taking leave. And John, as we know, is an ex-con, and also he is very clearly a bad man. So that is immediately drawn. But it's not just them. Because Evie asks, is she adopted or did your mum fuck a black dude? And it's just like, oh, you're bold? Okay. But Jill loves it. Jill's like that too. So they're friends. Kevin at one point stares pretty vacantly at a couch. He claims it's because they used to have one just like it. You later realise why he did this. We're saying nothing yet. So when John reveals this thing about how he was in prison for attempted murder, Kevin's like, what happened? And he gives the amazing response, I guess I didn't try hard enough. It's like, Jesus. Did you know this? Does he know he's a cop at this point, or what?
No, he doesn't. He knows absolutely... Well, I mean, maybe they told him off screen, but...
Wonderful stuff. Very bold. Good way to make Kevin immediately dislike you forever and ever. So when Evie has her epileptic seizure or fit... I struggle to call it a fit because she doesn't really
episode
fit. Yeah, okay. She says, I went away. And I don't know if this is a common phrasing for epilepsy and having episodes, but it's not something I've heard before. And given the nature of this show, disjointed voices and ghosts and people departing, I'm not ruling it out as something weird. At the end of the night, her and her friends, Evie, they go out, and the rest of the family are woken up at 3 a.m. by a massive earthquake, and they discover Evie never came home. Her friends didn't either. Michael takes John to that lake that they go swimming in. They find the car, which has music playing inside it, has Evie's phone inside it, but the girls are nowhere to be seen. And do you know what else is nowhere to be seen? The fucking water. The water departed, Ben. The water is missing.
I mean, there's a giant crack in the bottom of the lake.
Yes, and the lake bed is littered with dead or dying fish, which is just a bizarre thing to end on. Well, actually, that's not even the ending. It ends with Erica sort of... Is she praying at that table? And then you hear the cricket, and it's just like, the cricket.
The cricket's fun. I think she's just kind of...
Just hoping it all is okay. Yeah, so a fucking very bizarre cliffhanger that will get doubly bizarre in the second episode. Some miscellaneous stuff that I thought we could just tackle all in a big list here. Evie goes running naked in the woods with her friends. Mm-hmm. Which we then smash cut to her playing baseball with John and telling her bad knock-knock joke.
I love the editing on this baseball scene.
It's like, yeah, it's very good. Like, the speed is conveyed through the quick cuts, and, from her singing to running naked through the woods to that, it's like, oh, we have gone through many different tones here.
We also get the very kind of off-putting moment when they leave the lake at the beginning of the episode and they get in the car and they're all very jovial when they're leaving this scientist who's doing work on the water and stuff like that. And then in the car, you just get this loud music and they're all dead silent, staring ahead. It's just a little bit unnerving. That's not how teenagers are in cars. We've got more
sexy, detached teens, but they don't have the same... Well, you can be affected by the wider issue without it happening personally to you, I suppose. As we know from Jill. Erica is deaf. She wears hearing aids. Well, potentially just hearing impaired. I don't know if she's full-on deaf. She signs to Evie later, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're like, it's obvious the family all know how to sign.
Well,
or most of the family know how to sign, potentially.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get a scene where John was angry that they were signing to each other because he doesn't understand it or some shit like that. And like the kids know, but John doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's coming. Erica also goes running, does her Kevin impression. She digs up a box containing a bird that she lets loose. No explanation. Wonderful stuff. John is confirmed as a villainous character because he sends back food at a diner that was perfectly fine.
No, the bacon wasn't on a separate plate.
Nope, fuck you, you're a bad person. A man brings a goat into this diner.
Oh, the fucking goat.
Slaughters it, and then drags it back out, and the waitresses treat it like it's just like, ugh, someone spilled something. Enrique!
I think she actually says, do we have to do this? Do we have to do this again?
Yeah.
This is a regular occurrence.
We'll see what happens. And the biggest bombshell that I kind of missed. When John is watching TV, we get a report that one of the members of the cast of, what's that show called? Perfect Strangers. Faked his departure and is in Mexico. Interesting.
Yeah, and they actually get Mark Linn-Baker as himself to show up. He'd originally auditioned for the show to play the role of Nora's supervisor in episode 6, but they told him he couldn't do it because they'd already written into the show that he disappeared.
You don't exist. Sorry, fam. You're yourself in this universe and you don't exist anymore.
Yeah, so this is a fun little thing. Like, it's kind of... They've obviously been teasing it for a while. It's also interesting, and I don't know if this is a continuity flub or if it's an actual, like, tipping the hat at what's happened. They misstate the date of the departure.
Interesting.
They say October 14th, 2012, not 2011.
I had some confusion about the date, the year, that everything that we're seeing is set.
So right now we are in 2015.
Okay.
We are in
the
August.
The departure was 2012. It's 3 years later.
2011.
2011 was the departure. And then we had 3 years later, then we moved through Christmas to Memorial Day, and then 2 months after that. And okay, so we're sort of late 2015.
We're like August time, I think, is when they say what they say.
Okay. I know this isn't true because maths, but it almost seems less likely that only one of them wouldn't have departed than all of them departed. Like, if the part of your brain that wants to recognise patterns, thanks Noah Hawley, it wants it to be neat and for all of them to be gone, not all but one. So maybe they're not all gone. It's
quite like, because part of the writing for the season is that they wanted to focus a lot on anomalous things, and so like they came up with this idea that like there was one of the ideas that they spitball in the writers' room that they say is there was a merry-go-round or carousel in Germany where every single person who was riding it at the time of the departure departed, and so obviously the carousel becomes like a shrine, whatever it is.
We'll see this in episode 2 for sure.
Yeah, so it's like these little things that like statistically they're rare, but being rare doesn't make them impossible.
Exactly.
So like this town, no one departed. That's statistically very unlikely, but clearly not impossible.
No.
And like an entire cast of a TV show going missing, statistically very unlikely, but potentially.
Yeah, a very disorienting first episode. We've got a change of town, we've got new opening titles. It felt like a giant flashback until it was confirmed as not. There's the weird opening sort of anthology episode scenelet. I forgot the GR existed for a while, so that was nice.
3 new regular characters who no matter what you say, they are more interesting than most of the characters that we lost at the end of season 1.
Yes, infinitely better than Christine.
The twins, the
mayor.
I think Dean and Amy are the only two that you kind of like say.
Well, Dean brought the promise of weird shit, and you know the weird shit can still come from someone else. So I'm okay with him being gone. Amy was just a nice girl, but I feel we have other nice people here. I don't want Evie to be permanently gone, but I feel like
well, she is the only one of the family who is not a regular, which should point to something.
There you go. Maybe she'll come back, but she's still not a regular. Anyway, yes, very bold, very, very bold. I don't feel any network but HBO, maybe FX, would have let them do this, because not one of the characters you know appears for 37 minutes. And then, fair play to them, they're very much establishing a completely new... I mean, as we said last episode, book ends where season 1 finishes, so they're completely on a blank canvas here. Maybe some elements taken from the book and expanded upon, I don't know, but largely speaking, this is all just them, and this is their mission statement. This is their statement of intent, I should say.
Yeah, and this is nice because like Tom Perrotta is still in the writers' room. Like it's not like he's disappeared. He's still very much involved.
It's like cool that he is actually writing for it, and it's not just like we give him a writing credit because he wrote the book. I get the sense he is actively involved in crafting these episodes and scripts.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I think he's pretty much co-showrunner with Damon Lindelof, which is
That's cool. That's very cool.
It's not like George R.R. Martin, where he gives the writers of the show like Cliff Note versions of what he's going to do in the last 2 books, and they go off and do whatever the fuck they want with those.
Did he write the script for Election, or did they just adapt it from his book?
I think he wrote the script for it as well, I want to say.
I haven't seen that film in a long time. I remember it being good though. So.
Yeah, I mean he's got a history of kind of like very good adaptations of his books. So
yeah.
No, Alexander Payne wrote the scrolling for Election.
Okay. Still. Anything else on episode 1 before we move on?
Oh, well, we haven't mentioned the woman.
There's a woman watering her lawn wearing a wedding dress when Michael's writing. But sorry, I actually did have that written down, but I guess I deleted it by accident. Yeah, a woman wearing her wedding dress. Maybe she was wearing it the day of the departure, and she feels if I take it off, I might go.
Yeah. So I now have a question for you.
Sure.
So obviously you were very confused.
Yes.
Watching this hour, do you feel like the quality is being maintained that you kind of felt had been achieved at the end of season 1, or was it this like too much and kind of like the off-settling nature of it, kind of like?
I think it got to a point where I was thinking this is a bit much, a lot at once kind of thing. It's well acted, it's well filmed. I think episode 2 is stronger from a technical standpoint because we'll see some hellaciously good editing. I don't know, it's certainly effective in terms of like, there's weird shit going on. Like it seems like this season is going to feed me a lot more bizarre stuff. This town seems like it's bursting with potential gold in terms of like sinister little mysteries. And it can do tiny mysteries that have got nothing to do with the departure, which is, it seems like what Lost was doing when it was like, it would meter out new small mysteries so they could buy time before they addressed, where is the island? What's happening here? Yeah, I don't know. It did certainly get to a point where I was like, oh, what is happening? I want Kevin, I want Nora.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think the first 3 episodes of the season kind of work as they're all very different to each other. And they all kind of introduce different elements of which are going to be very important parts of the season. So obviously this one's very much about introducing us to the Murphys, introducing us to Jarden, and kind of what's going on there. So this is like, there's a lot of world building going on in this episode. Episode 2 is kind of wrapping up stuff from season 1 so we can actually move over to what the new plot of season 2 is. And then episode 3 you've not seen, but
I haven't. I watched the first 3 seconds.
Okay.
I learned a lot. No, music played and I saw the side of a car. Nothing happened.
Yeah, episode 3 kind of like, you'll see what I mean when they say they're kind of like a trilogy of kind of setting up things in motion.
Sure.
I think that's where you finally get a good idea of how this season's going to be structured.
Okay. Well, before we get to see episode 3, we need to do episode 2, which is A Matter of Geography. First aired October 11th, 2015, directed by Mimi Leader again, written by Damon Lindelof and Tom Perrotta. We were just saying he's still involved. We begin with a flashback to the end of exactly where we left season 1. Nora finds baby Lily on the doorstep, and then we move further as they bring the baby inside and they basically agree they're keeping it and that they're going to live together. And as part of this, Kevin and Nora confess things to each other. I really like that Kevin confesses all these things in front of Jill. I didn't like that he kept things from her that there was... To me, there seemed no reason for him to do other than just being like a overly protective, secretive parent in season 1. So her being there, I thought was kind of a big deal. And, you know, he talks about the sleepwalking, he talks about the pills, he talks about exactly what happened with Patty, he even snitches on Matt. And he says, I smoke. So my assertion this is his first cigarette in years was wrong. He has been secretly smoking the whole time. I guess he was just hiding it from Jill.
I love that this whole scene comes... Like, there was a very big wave of television dramas that were very grim and depressing. Maybe not quite as depressing as The Leftovers is, but that would keep secrets for no good reason other than the fact that they think it's interesting storytelling to have people keep things away. And then The Leftovers is kind of like, you know what, we're done with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, there is no dramatically interesting reason for us to hide this. We're not interested in the tension of people finding out that Patty's dead. Let's just lay all our cards out on the table from season 1.
Yeah, well, we will very much get into that. And also, like, you consider that Kevin and Laurie had marital problems and they had secrets from each other. I mean, I feel Kevin had more secrets from Laurie than Laurie had from Kevin, but hey. And if that was a cause of their marriage disintegrating, why wouldn't you come clean with this woman who you are in love with? I love that her comeback is, I hire prostitutes to shoot me. So, you do that. You definitely do.
Do that.
Jill is definitely a coward for not saying I choke boys to climax, or I stole baby Jesus, or I got in a fridge for no reason.
Yeah, but none of those are as interesting as... Also, I feel like her dad knew, maybe not about the choking, but
she knew she took the baby, yeah.
Let's get an apology for the gun.
Yeah, we do. Sorry, I lied to you. I won't do that again. Yeah, we do. You know, it's just a crash course in like, right, look, we're a family now. We've bonded. We've shared secrets. This is it. Let's get it all discussed nicely and formally. And now they're a family, and it's nice and it's wholesome.
The other thing that I really love about this scene is this would be a far more palatable start to the season.
Yeah.
Like, you could quite easily swap episode 1 and 2 together. Like, you'd be a little bit confused why episode 2 starts with... With
some slick editing, you could easily edit these together. You could swap them, yeah.
But I also do think that it's they did it for a reason.
Yeah.
And there's another pair of episodes coming later in the season which I'm tempted to swap because we can swap them.
I appreciate episode 1 more now I've seen episode 2.
Yes,
I think exactly what they were going for.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of how this season is structured, is that you will start to appreciate things that happened earlier more.
Yeah. I feel that happens generally, though. Like, there are things that in your raw reaction, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. But then once you've sort of taken it all in, you're like, it was for a reason, it was important, this is why, blah, blah, blah. So 2 months later, Kevin and Nora legally adopt baby Lily. And as a backdrop to all this, Kevin is constantly listening to loud music and is plagued with flashbacks about Patty. It builds to a breaking point. He digs up her body, puts it in the back of his truck, intentionally speeds in front of a cop so that he can be pulled over and caught. So Kevin, when he's like got the baby at the dry cleaners and stuff like that, it seems deliberately on the nose, reminiscent of the pilot episode with that mother who had the departed baby. I mean,
yeah, all they're missing is the person who's come to like tell them off. It's the mother, who obviously we'd seen a couple of times in season 1.
I was like, I call bullshit on Kevin listening to dubstep, but it becomes very clear why. I think he just wants anything loud because he's trying to drown out Patty, essentially. Who he is?
What?
Yeah, who he is still hearing, as we'll find out. I love his, when they're adopting the baby formally, his robotic recital of "It felt like it was meant to be." Good one.
I think what makes that scene though is Carrie Coon's look at him, just kind of like, you could not have said that any worse.
Yep, you are really fucking this up, bro.
Even when these two are kind of slightly at odds, or like those kind of like normal kind of like marital, not marital, but like relationship kind of spats you have that are kind of like nothing, they still have so much fucking chemistry.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like the way she gives him these looks, it really helps diffuse any tension there might be, because we know he's a very angry person. And we will see him snap at her later this episode, but you kind of get the sense they'll be okay because of the way she deals with conflict. They're offered a second child. And this guy who, this government official doesn't seem to really give a shit. That they're trying to, really make sure they've got the story straight. And, we found this baby and everything's fine. We're in a good situation. And Kevin totally drops the stuff about, my father's in a mental health facility. And she's like, dude. But yeah, this dude doesn't give a fuck. Offers them the second child. Very funny stuff. So The editing on this Where Is My Mind sequence is fucking killer. The speed and frequency with which they intercut the flashbacks to season 1 with the stuff that happened with Patty is magnificent. This song is almost off limits forever because of Fight Club, but they make it work against all odds. So, and it's, you know, it's lyrically appropriate. I mean, it was for Fight Club as well, but, you know, they don't own the concept of a person who's, you know, having some troubles with lost time. Yeah,
I think I intuited in a previous episode that, like, Leftovers and Mr. Robot both used this song as kind of a shorthand emotional thing, or like shorthand kind of plot thing to say, we are kind of going to this place. I think both shows used it really, really well, but I do think, like, this is the more technically impressive usage of it.
It's amazing. This whole episode has great editing, and this in particular, it's like, I don't know if individual scenes can win awards, but they should. And,
like, this is where the kind of, when I think of the editing style of the show, this is the episode that kind of, like, it really clicked. I remember watching this back in October 2015 and just kind of, like, being absolutely floored after watching this thing, because we had it in season 1 there with the little bits in, like, the pilot with these kind of, like, very strong flash cuts that were coming in, but they kind of made the decision to, like, they drop the sound.
Yes.
They're done in time with things that are happening, so they're not kind of quite as in your face.
I feel a lesser show would have put, like, a sharp, abrasive sound effect with all the sound, like, or, like, you know, like a sort of, I can't make it with my mouth, but, you know, they would have done something to accompany them, but this keeps them on beat with the music and doesn't make a huge deal of them, and I think that's really effective.
It's on beat with the music, and it's on beat with Kevin, like, kicking in the washing machine. So
he's a very angry man.
He is, but, like, you just get the scenes we saw from season 1 of, like, him beating Patty up, intercut with him beating the fridge, and it's just the washing machine, and it's just so well done, and
Kevin, of course, after being found with this body, is taken in, and an ATFEC officer comes in to talk to him, and as soon as he says Patty killed herself, she stops giving a single fuck. She doesn't need any corroboration of this. She's like, good, she's dead, fuck her. Uncuffs Kevin, lets him go, and when he's like, what, just like that? She's like, do you want to blow up your life? And he's like, no. So off he gets to go. ATFEC continue to just not consider any of these cults to be human beings, basically. Because, I mean, you know, fuck the GR, fuck Patty, but also, you should probably do some base level of policing here.
I mean, you get the feeling from, like, season 1 when Kevin had the kind of call from the ATFEC agent that they don't really give a shit about these cults and stuff like that, and that they are
targets, they're vermin, they're to be eradicated, and then their job is done.
Yeah, and so this one's dead. Good. We don't need to think about it anymore.
Yeah. But you know who is still thinking about it? Kevin, because he gets in this truck, and there is Patty talking to him still.
What the fuck was that? Ann Dowd is a treasure.
Yeah.
And obviously she was great in season 1. I think both her and Amy Brenneman were great in season 1 with the kind of lack of dialogue. But you could tell that Ann Dowd was better when she's speaking. And when she spoke in season 1, they very much kind of, like, she was foul-mouthed, but I feel like they do completely boost that up in this season, where she is just a vicious little woman inside his head, and it's just so good. And Ann Dowd is so fantastic, and I think she was nominated for an Emmy for this role, but she didn't win. Sadly, she won for the Handmaid's Tale for it, but she has been recognised in some way for this performance, and I am so very happy.
Making her money in highly acclaimed, depressing shows. So Jill meets Tom at a diner. He won't let her tell Kevin that he's okay. And he responds, because nobody's okay. Which sounds an awful lot like GR rhetoric to me.
This is the first time we've had it hinted that there might still be around.
Yeah, because he tries to give Jill a letter, which is clearly from Laurie. Jill rips it up. Tom slides it back to her. I don't know if she takes it when she leaves, or does he leave? I don't know. But yeah, he sort of gives it back to her. Not a lot really happens here, but Tom doesn't look in a good way. Like, he says he's sick, but yeah, he just looks generally not great. I don't know, I guess him and Laurie might be not living in a great place or something. I don't know. We will find out, unfortunately.
We get a very brief appearance from them, and then they're gone.
Yeah. Speaking of brief appearances, Kevin Sr. has been released. He visits the family, meets the baby. He says he likes Nora. He's like, I like Laurie, but I like Nora better. It's like, I couldn't agree more. I think Kevin feels the same. He tells Kevin he's moving to Australia, which is where that letter is going. And there is an episode called Good Day Melbourne. And season 3 is shorter. Ask questions. He says, I can sit around moping about how the world ended, or I can go and start it again, or restart it, or whatever. Which is a very odd thing to say. If it, in the Book of Revelations, I believe after, good old JC wins, I think he is supposed to rebuild the world with the surviving humans and stuff. I don't know if that's what Kevin Sr. thinks he's doing. Is he just going to go get his fuck on in Australia? Is that the idea? Like, get those 2% back? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Damien Lindelof said in the interview before season 2 that, like, we start dropping hints about something going on in Australia, which might become important later, but I'm so happy that you're picking up on these, and I didn't have to, like, steer you into them, but...
I mean, the Australia thing's my fault, because on our show page on entertherealworld.com, I laid out the whole schedule so you can see when each episode is coming, so I had to look up the names of all the episodes. I tried to stay spoiler-free, but some of them do give some things away, such as that, so I put 1 and 1 and 1 together and made 78. Anyway, I hope Kevin Sr. doesn't just fuck off until season 3, but... maybe that is what happens. He again states that the voices aren't made up. Like, Kevin's like, you were talking to people that weren't there for 4 fucking years or 2 years or whatever. And he's like, who said they're not there? I'm just like, oh, you were just keeping to this, aren't you?
I just started listening to them.
Exactly. There you go. So at dinner, Kevin suggests that they leave town. So they do. They pack up their things. I
love how delightfully in your face that waiter that they are, because like nothing they ask is like particularly stupid or anything like that, but they're obviously having like an absolute whale of a time just kind of like finding ways around these rules.
Yeah, they're making fun of him, like, fuck you and your snooty restaurant, here's what I want, here's my loopholes. Yeah, they pack their stuff up in a U-Haul trailer and off they head to a rented house in Miracle, Texas. However, they show up and discover it has burned down, so Nora buys one in an auction for $3 million. We see when they're arriving that there are just hordes of people camped outside offering to buy the wristbands, and like it seems like a massive hippie commune type thing. It's all very strange, and like there's stuff with these wristbands, and like you must have this type of one, and like if you don't have one you'll be harassed, and like know this past this point. The whole place fucking seems like what I imagine Celebration Florida to be like, where it's all just, sure, it's fun and nice on the surface, but clearly people get murdered here in secret and it's all covered up. They have to leave their dog in quarantine for 6 weeks, which is very sad.
The dog that Kevin almost won $1 for.
He was owed that dollar. Yeah.
I love the kind of like, I don't even know if to call it set direction or anything like that, but just kind of like the visual look of that little shanty town. It's not the last time we see it this season. You do get to spend a bit more time there, but it's such a good location that they found with that bridge kind of like over the top of it. And
just that physical separation, like controlling the access easily, and you can only enter by shuttle unless you're a resident and stuff like that. It's all very creepy, and then like the arrival area, it's very like Westworld or a theme park or something like that, with the talk from the sheriff or whoever, like, Miracle is blah 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 blah, and it's like, oh wow, this is all very creepy. So the man that Michael went over his house to pray with approaches Kevin and says he can help him with his situation and he should come down by and see him sometime. So he has clearly marked him out as one of these people who is burdened with glorious purpose, as we'll put it. But
yeah, I mean, we get to see, like, we know he lives on the outskirts of town. We've already seen that there are people like jumping the fence in the first episode and stuff like that. So like he's estranged somewhat.
Yes.
From this town for whatever reason.
Yeah, because he's a resident. He's hanging around the visitor centre. What's happening there? Clearly, they were going to be staying in Isaac's upstairs, and it got burnt down. Like, Isaac was talking about how he was going to rent out to a second family, and I was thinking, where was Isaac going to go if they were going to move into his house? I was like, oh yeah, second floor. That was going to be them. The reason that Nora has this amount of money, on top of the departure reparations, which are implied to not be a small amount of money, given she...
Especially when you have 3.
Yes, especially when she buys food she throws away every week and stuff like that.
And still has a job working for the government. And
paid like all that money to see Holy Wayne, and she pays those prostitutes quite a lot of money and all that sort of stuff. On top of all that, she is offered $2.4 million for her house.
2.7, isn't it?
Well, she says it's like 4 times what she had it on the market for, and that was like $600,000 or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's over $2 million. It's between $2 and $3 million. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so people from MIT and potentially others want to buy the house so they can do research, because they believe that they don't know where people went, but they think they can find out why, and they are very interested in the geography of what happened. And they think it can be as specific as that kitchen table, because they say, 3 people departed in this house, 3 of them were sitting in the same location, and you were over at the countertop, so this kitchen table could be a reason. So they want to buy it and do research, and they raise this question. She asks, what's this all for? And they say, so people could protect themselves. And she's like, so you think this will happen again? And they give the amazingly reasonable response. Why wouldn't it? Like, if this has happened, it can again. Because so many people are taken for granted. Yeah, it's the rapture. It's a one-time event. Why? Why is it? And Evie went missing, so is it all happening again? Who knows? But yeah, I do enjoy that little scene. I like those scientists. Like, it seems like we have some voices of reason in a show that's full of like crackpots who are like, oh, this is what happened and this is what happened. And this is the sort of first time we've seen any scientific interest in it since it was all sort of hand waved in episode 1.
Yeah, like these are the kind of people that like the ABC version of this show would centre around. And it'd be all like, this would be the case of the week where they buy this woman's house who had 3 departures, and they start to analyse her table and like what new discoveries they make from it and stuff like that. And there's the mysterious government agency steering them away from things and blah 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 blah. Like,
I'm glad they're here though. It shouldn't focus around them, but it's nice to get this. The speed with which it's almost like they turn around for a second and she's in the auction. They're angry at the guy who's welcoming them about this happening, and like, we've come all the way from New York and everything we own is in this trailer. And then you turn around and Nora's in a fucking auction. And her saying, you want to live here, buddy? It's like, okay, calm down, Nora. But it's nice. She's assertive, and she's just like, my life's fucking insane and I've got all this money. Let's just do things.
Yeah, like you get the feeling that she wants to be out from Mapleton. She hasn't lived at her house since the events of Memorial Day.
Well, yeah, and let's not forget she was coming over to Kevin's to leave him a Dear John letter and like leave town. So
yeah,
she gets to have it both ways.
She postponed it for 2 months, but now she gets to be with the person who she loves, and they're 2 weird adopted daughter things.
Daughter things. Wow. Women are not things, Benjamin. Kevin continues to be plagued by his visions of Patty. He injures himself on the stove, and the way they film it as her slamming his head into it in the same way he did to her. Clearly this didn't actually happen, I assume. I don't think she's an actual ghost poltergeist that can affect the physical world.
Man, that sure would be something, wouldn't it?
It sure would. Oh, God. We get a lot of these scenes, and it's all sort of intercut with the events we saw in episode 1 of season 2, the previous episode.
We get little bits of added context, like we see the conversation between... Yeah, we see John and Nora's conversation, but from the perspective of Jill and Kevin in the kitchen at the time it's happening. We get to find out what Kevin does when he goes over to the house to pick up the pie.
Yes.
They drop around. Like, it's little context bits that kind of, like, flesh out.
And this is why he has the Band-Aid, the plaster on his head when he comes over for dinner, when he didn't have it when he arrived. Like, he's already injured. It's because of this. All of this makes him very angry, obviously. He doesn't know how to cope with it, so he has a big shout at Nora. But then he apologises when Jill sort of calls him on the behaviour. When he goes to get the pie, Patty says... She says how nice they are. It's like, it's hard to tell if they're part of your story or you're part of theirs. And it's like, this is very meta for how the season has played out so far, with, them basically becoming the main characters in episode 1. Patty may be able to break the 4th wall. Who knows? I like Jill's astute observation that, like, this is a place that makes Nora feel safe, and saying, please don't fuck this up, Dad. Like, she's enjoying herself, or, like, she's okay for the first time probably since the departure. I don't know.
Yeah, like she's coming to a place, like her brother's living here. They get to visit him very briefly on the kind of first night. this feels like a place like Nora gets to have everything that she needs. Like, she's away from the trauma of her life back in Mapleton. She's got Kevin, she's got Lily, she's got Matt.
She's got Jill. She seems like they get on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, but like, she's obviously like a less relationship to.
Yeah. As a very wise girl who maybe shouldn't have been jettisoned from the show said, some people are okay, Jill. And now Jill is one of those people. So there you go.
I don't know. How would you move Amy to Texas?
Because she basically lives with them. So what are you going to do? Abandon her in Mapleton?
That would have made this family even weirder.
Yeah, and I'm all for it. Anyway, so the things I'm about to say. So despite falling asleep with a smile on his face, holding Nora, Kevin wakes up at the bottom of the drained lake with a concrete block tied around him. Dead fish everywhere. He scrambles out of the lake, finds the car from the end of the previous episode, but he runs away before John and Michael arrive.
He also puts his hand on the window of the
He
car.
does. He's made some sort of...
He was very muddy.
Yes. And Patty just says, uh-oh, to end the episode. It's like, what the fuck are you doing this season, guys? Did Kevin do it? Did someone try and kill Kevin? And his way of getting out of it was to, like... I mean, the earthquake has presumably opened up that crack in the ground, which drained the water and potentially saved Kevin from death. I don't know. Did the girls try and kill Kevin?
It's interesting that there are two things that probably should have been dead, which aren't dead in these two episodes. Like, we've had the bird in the little box.
Yes.
And now we've had Kevin at the bottom of what was a lake with a cinder block tied around his leg.
Yeah. And he coughs up water as well, doesn't he?
He does.
Bit. Yeah. It's a very, very strange place to end this. Have you got anything miscellaneous about this episode? Name of the editor, perhaps?
Yes, I can name the editor. The editor's name was Hank Van Egan.
Well done, Hank Van Egan. You did.
Yeah, he's really good. He actually does the best episode of this season, and he does the series finale as well. So obviously he is an editor that they got along with on this show. All
right. So, my character rankings based on likability. We got some new names on here. Would you like me to go bottom to top?
Yes, bottom to top, as always.
Okay. So, because they're in the credits, I have to say them. Meg is last. She's absent, but she's still Meg, so she's at the bottom of the list. Laurie, also absent, but she's in the GR, so you...
She's been in one episode. She was very briefly in the second episode.
Was she?
Yeah, she's in the car as they drive away from Tom gets in the car with her.
Oh, right.
And they drive away.
Okay, I guess I looked down for a moment to make notes. Number 12, John is very clearly a bad man. Unsettling.
Is that bad man in the London way, or bad man with the space in between them?
It's very clearly a not nice individual. Is that not nice in it? No. Yeah. Sinister smiles. He kind of seems like a replacement for the GR, but I assume the GR are coming back. They're credited, so fuck them. But yeah, he is, of the characters visibly present, my least likeable. I mean, I like the performance. Like, it's a good villainous person. Maybe he won't be villainous in the end. I don't fucking know. But yeah, he is the least likeable person to appear from a morality standpoint. Erica, number 11. She doesn't object to what John does, so that's as good as condoning it. And, like, you know, that man burned someone's house down, so fuck her. She also potentially trapped that bird in the box, even if she did let it go. So, Tom, number 10, sort of threatening to revert back to the bad place he was in after his nice few episodes of rebellion against Holy Wayne. Like, it seems to me like he's being indoctrinated by Laurie, and... You know, I got that wonderful glimpse of what a engaged, present, happy Tom is like, and that's gone. So, back down to near the bottom of the list you go, my friend. Number 9, Ghost Patty. Ghost of Patty. Patty, I suppose we can just call her. She's fun, but she's still Patty. She's still... I mean, maybe she's not Patty, maybe she's Kevin's, like, internalization of her, but nevertheless, she represents bad people, and she's haunting the protagonist of the show, so... and sending him slightly insane, so I can't make you likeable. Number 8, Matt. He's better than the bad people, but he's worse than the good people, so I feel he floats around here until he does something of note. Number 7, Mary, because what can I say? She's true neutral, like, she doesn't do anything, so I can't make her good or bad.
Number only gets a nice paycheck for it.
There you go. I will try and keep her as central as possible unless something dramatic happens. Number 6, Kevin Sr. He's still a badass. He still carries that mystery. Doesn't really do a huge amount, so I can't put him as high as I have in the past. But yeah, he's still just a cool fucking dude. And
he's off to Australia.
He's off to Australia. Number 5, Michael. Seems like a nice young boy. Nothing really to add there. Number 4, Evie. Also nice, but she had some mystery to her. However, if she's fucking out here, then I guess this is her one and only appearance on the list. Who knows? Jill, number 3. An infinite improvement over everything we saw in season 1. I look forward to her being a three-dimensional person who behaves like a rational human. But hopefully. Number 2, Kevin Jr., sorry. Very angry, very mentally unwell, but he's still, broadly speaking, a likeable protagonist. And number 1, sweet angel Nora. She gets shit done, man. Like, she bought a fucking house. What have you done today?
What have I done today? Nothing.
Recorded talking about her buying a house. That's what you've done.
I did do that. And
yeah, that's where my rankings sit.
It's still so weird that you've made this complete turnaround on Kevin Garvey, dog murderer.
Look, he murdered those dogs. He will never be number 1. However, there are some much worse people, and I feel the mystery to all of it lies with him and his father. So you are right. He did murder those dogs. He's number 10. Whatever. No, I don't know.
Here we are, we're 2 episodes into season 2.
A lot of change, new setting, new sort of central mystery, new opening titles, new family dynamic, new characters, and so far there's no GR. So the thing I like the least is missing. A lot of the side characters I don't like are gone, and we've got a far more interesting, if not likeable, family to replace those people. So I'm all for it so far.
Yeah, it's such a different thing to season 1, because obviously season 1 kind of starts you in this position of it's a tone piece. Lots of it's based on emotion and how it makes you feel, and the GR don't really do anything other than piss you off.
Yep, they make me very, very angry.
Yeah, whereas this, they start with, this girl's gone missing, there's something going on in this town, let's find out about them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an immediate noticeable difference. I haven't done an angry rant in this episode, so good times. I'm sure they're coming. I know that Laurie and Meg are lurking, threatening to come back. Evie's out of here, and I liked her, so I'm sad about that, but maybe we'll get some sort of flashbacks to her behaviour and like, why does she go running naked in the woods? That kind of thing. Hopefully. I don't know. But we will potentially find these things out next time as we do episodes 3 and 4. This has been another wonderful episode. Thank you for doing this with me, Ben. Going through the torture of watching your favourite show, or one of your favourite shows ever.
We are now firmly into 2 of my favourite seasons of television ever. Not to overhype this too much.
Well, I look forward to it. EnterTheRealWorld.com. Don't miss an episode. Check it all out there. SoundCloud.com/Mike and Matt. We're on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud. It's all everywhere. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever. We're on YouTube. Comment there, maybe. I don't know. There's fun posters. But until next time, I've been Matt. He has been Ben. I'm going to now just dump water all over myself because it is way too hot for 9:30 at night.
I know. I can't wait to find out whether or not I talked Matt into using Where's My Mind at the end of this episode.
You probably have. But let's find out now.